Alright, brand new battery. It was dead the other day, freshly charged. Let's see if we can get her to start. Now, notice this light's on. There is a parasitic charge, or a parasitic drain rather. What's going on is the key switch right over here it doesn't work. It's just on all the time. So I did disconnect the battery before I left the other night. I keep crescent wrench right there for doing that. So that's not the problem. The battery was already dead, and I suspect it's because the alternator was not charging the battery. I've got my meter out here. We're about to test and figure out if it's a problem of the alternator just not charging, or maybe it's that loose connection that I pointed out the other day. So let's see if it'll start. 0.6. I don't know if you can see that or not. Hang on, let me try this. Alright, so that was connected to the alternator, so 0.6 volts. It's not what we want to see. It should be more like 14. Just for the record, on the battery, 12.6 volts. Volts DC. We're only getting 0.6 out of the alternator, so that's definitely our problem. I'm going to try and experiment real quick. We'll see if I can disconnect the battery. I should be able to while the machine's running. And so if that works, then for the time being, until the alternator gets here, I can continue running the battery or the basket case. I'll just start it, disconnect the battery, and then I'll run it. So 12.68 volts on the battery, and as you can see, it's completely disconnected. So what that means is I can start this up, I can disconnect the battery, I can run it. It obviously keeps running. So, alright, I'll get a new alternator ordered, and in the meantime, we're going to keep working on clearing. So, not today, the ground's all too soft back there. I'm going to walk back in there and I'll kind of show you. I'll probably take the four-wheeler to see if I can maybe. But we just had all that rain. So it's too soft. I think I'll get stuck. There's a spot right down here. I don't know if I can get it back through, and we're supposed to get more rain coming up this weekend. So I don't want to leave it down low by the creek. Up here it's fine. I mean, we're 20-30 feet above where the creek is, where she's parked right here. As long as I can get it back here, everything's cool. The problem is I'm afraid I won't be able to get back out, and I don't have enough daylight left anyhow to be messing with it. But maybe tomorrow I'll come out here, get her fired back up, and we can go keep going. And the good news is eventually, I'll show you here in just a second, but I'll be able to not have to use this crossing that I've made down here. So let me walk down there, I'll show you guys that. I almost forgot, but I definitely have some sort of fuel leak. It's one of these injector lines. Not sure which one. I'm seeing fuel all the way up here, so I suggest that it's probably that one. I'll investigate that later, but for now, priority is going to be fixing the battery charging issue. So I'll get to this whenever I get to it, but I do have a fuel leak somewhere, and I don't know, it may be this return line. That doesn't really make sense, but it could be, see that T right there? It could be that may be the problem. It is awful greasy looking. So anyway, that may have been the initial fuel leak that I found. Exhaust is hot. Ooh, ouch. Yeah, that may be the initial fuel leak that I was seeing. It may not have actually been the pump. It may have been that line up there. Anyway, like I say, I'll investigate that once I get it running consistently again. So alternator first, fuel problem next. In the meantime, I got trees to clear, so let's go check it out. All right, so the backhoe's parked right up there, and this is the fence is not going through here. This will never be a fence. This is just going to be pasture. But this is a path that I've cleared to be able to get to my fence right through here. That was just solid trees. It looked like this before. This is the problem area. So you can kind of see, I think, yeah, these are my ruts from just trying to get the backhoe back through here. Now going this way, it's no problem because it's downhill. Coming back the other way is the issue. So what's going on is the backhoe is back heavy because there's a backhoe on it. And so a lot of steel back there, a lot of iron. And so come through this, no problem. But as soon as we start to get back up here and start to go uphill, I lose the traction on the front tires and it starts steering me towards that tree. And so this is my front tire tracks of me trying to go back this way. And it took me about 4 tries to get it the other night. And we'd had almost a whole week of dry, no rain. And yet, you know, I mean, I had to come all the way over here and I was finally able to get it up to where it's at right now. Parked over there. And that's a good spot for it. It's safe up there. It's not going to get flooded or anything like that. But I don't want to leave it down here in these lower spots because this does flood. And this is an area that if I continue to tear it up, I mean, you can already see the ruts that are holding water. Yeah, it's just going to keep getting worse and I may not be able to get back through it. So the amount of time I have left today, and that's part of the deal, right? It's at the end of the day, I'm a rancher. The animals come first. So getting this done, yeah, it's important because I need to get that fence done so that the cows can get in here for all this goodness, and they're gonna love it when they do. But I've got to go take care of them first where they're at right now. So I'm not just running equipment out here taking care of cows. Now, the reason this is a problem is right here. So you can see this is kind of a drainage path. And I built this up and I stuffed a bunch of like logs and stuff down in there to make it solid enough that I could drive over it. You can see them right here. Some of them that are still there. So I kind of built a little bit of a dam there. And I knew that was going to be a problem, but it allows us to get in there for now. This is not the permanent path to get to the fence, which is off that way. So ultimately the goal is hopefully Friday I can get out here. My day job, I work 4 days a week, 10 hours a day. So I'll have all day Friday and I can get through this way, no problem. It's coming back that's an issue. And every time I come through it, I'm just going to do this again. I'm going to tear it all up. And eventually I'm not going to make it. And it's softer and wetter today than it was last time I came through. So with the amount of daylight that I have left, it's just not worth trying to get over there for maybe an hour's worth of work before I have to come back. And I don't think I can make it to the point that I need to in order to get the backhoe back out of the flood danger. So yeah, let me just go show you what we worked on so far, and I'll show you where I need to get Friday if I can. All right, so we're here where I've been clearing. So it makes fast work of it. All of this is about 2 hours worth of clearing. See, I've got trees down over here. Now I've got to come back. I got some big holes that I'm gonna have to fix. That's all right though. There was a tree stump right there. All the way to over here, more trees down. I pushed all those over. And then this area, there's a big stump here. It's now over there. There's another one over here somewhere. It's now also over here. And then this is going to be my little water gap. So I got to this point now. This little tree right here, it's going to have to go I just didn't see it the other day when I was working. Otherwise, I'd have pulled it out. And tree that size is not an issue for the basket case. So, all right, come through here. You see all these trees that I knocked down? These I left. I didn't cut them with the chainsaw because I knew they were small enough it'd be easier to rip them out with the backhoe. And I'll cut them up with the chainsaw later, now that they're all the way out. But I can, on a tree this size, I can kind of push it by the base down there. You can kind of see these scars on it wherever I pushed it. And you just kind of push it over and fold it, and then I just curl the bucket and it just rips the whole tree out. It's great. So, but I gotta have the tree standing in order to do that. Other ones, like this one, right here, it was off over here somewhere. I mean, that's, you know, dropped you. That's a decent sized tree. These ones I just push over until the roots pop out of the ground. But I mean, that tree, not huge, you know, it's not this giant sycamore tree, right? I couldn't push that guy over, not with the basket case anyway. Maybe with the equipment they got up there. But you know, tree that size, I can just push the whole thing over. This one that's kind of folded in half, whatever. Another one, just push it over. Got it out of my way. I missed a stump right there. Little guy. It's alright, I'll get him later. On the other side here, more smaller trees that I've been pushing out. More stumps. Another one. That's about 6-inch diameter base right there. Maybe a little more, maybe 7. But it's down. I'll get that cut up and got it out. Get it out of here. And then there's lots more little trees. Just clean everything up, get them out of my way. The ones this size, I don't even worry about it. I just drive right over the top of them. Once this is clear enough that I can build a fence in it, I'll just come through here with a bush hog and, you know, like trees this size, I just mow them. No big deal. So I got to over here and I ripped this big guy out. So pretty big stump there, but I got it out. That's the hole that it took to get that stump out. So sorry I haven't been showing all this. I need a better camera mount. The setup that I have is it's too rigid, and on the back of it's just it messes up the video, so it's pretty much unwatchable. I've tried it, does not work. So I need to come through here. Some more stuff, especially back this way, kind of scrubby that I need to get rid of, and this type of stuff right here. Rip that out all with the backhoe. And these smaller trees, like this guy and this guy, we'll pull them out as well. And everything that you're seeing behind me that's about that size pretty much will come out. The bigger trees like that, they're going to stay. Again, smaller trees like this type of little stuff here, little scrubby crap, who cares? I'll drive right over the top of them with the backhoe and come back and bush hog them later. Now, one thing, whenever they were building the dike here on the pond, they pushed over some trees right here. They're now my way. Now that'd be no problem just to move them out of my way with the backhoe. But this is where I need to get to, because there's I can't drive through this spot here. I don't know if you can tell how deep that is, but it's deep. Man, there's no pulling the backhoe through that crap. But I do need to get over here. See that stump right there? You get over here and pull that out. But what I'm hoping is, man, that's steep now that I'm looking at it. I'm hoping though that I can go ahead and pull all of these trees out and then drive along the the berm of the creek to get around where I'm at now, because I need a better spot. Nope. No, that won't work. Can you tell how steep that is? There's no way I'm driving the backhoe across that. Might be able to drive it up it. If I could get up here. Okay, new plan. I need to get to over here. So actually not even as far. So that's good. Right over here though. Used to, I would park right down here. And that was level with the top of this berm that I'm walking on. It's now about a 10-foot difference. But I think, yeah, that would work. Right here. So if I can get to where I can drive the backhoe up that along here, then I can turn around and I can drive back this way. So it's already mostly cleared. Won't be too bad. And then let me show you where I'm going. Just kidding. Beautiful day today. So I'm just gonna go start clearing, and I'll try to get some video of what that looks like, and then I'll show you where I'm going once I get to it. So I'll get this circle fired up real quick, and let's go back axe some trees. From where I'm at over there, I need to keep clearing until I get to that kind of mess right there. Get that cleared out of my way, but then that's got that big hole that I can't get through. So come up here, and then almost there. Right here. This is actually a creek crossing. Right here, this leads down to it. But I can't really conveniently get to that anymore just because of the way the dike's built up. No big deal. So a couple options. You know, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. I could, because this is flat enough right here, I could just kind of cut this corner off and get back to it. But I think what I'm going to like better is I'm gonna just punch right through here, and it's not very much. So once I get up on that dike, I'll punch right down through here until I get back to that little road for my crossing, and then I can get back on the path of the fence right over here and work my way back to that ravine. So I'll come out from the pond right through here where this big dead tree is. I'll come right through the middle of that, and that'll put me back here, and then I'll start working my way this way until I get back where those trees are down over there, and that's that ravine. And then at that point I'll turn around and we're gonna go that way. Now that's mostly cleared, so once I get all of this done back here behind me, the rest of this should go pretty smooth. It's just little bitty trees. And then the other thing that I'm going to be watching for is there's a bunch of logs. So some of these I've kind of cut up. They're all over the place in here, but for now I'm just going to be shoving them out of my way and just kind of trying to clear a path through here, you know, widen this out, get all these little scrubby trees out, and widen everything out enough that I can run bush hog through here 2 or 3 passes, and then this will be ready for fence. Let me just walk over here real quick and show you where the end of it's going to be. All right, you see this big tall tree in the back over here? That right there is the corner of my house pad. What I'm going to do is the fence is going to come right off of that corner straight back to here where I'm at. It'll tie back in this way. I'm not too far, so then if I can get all of this done, then I can go back and yeah, see all these logs? So I got to get all those just moved out of my way. Once I get this area done, then I'll go back through everything that I've cleared the other direction. I can start fixing the all the holes that I've left and smoothing everything out, pushing the trees the rest of the way out of the way. I might go grab a chainsaw and start cutting some of them up, some of the bigger ones that I'm going to need to cut up, that is. And yeah, this is like 70% of the new fence right here. Oh, and then the dozer company, they're going to push out that last spot that heads back that way to the house pad. That's no big deal for them. They're just going to push that out for me whenever they get done with the pad. So all right, so this fuel leak is getting worse. I'm pretty sure it's that low pressure fitting up there. Now those low pressure fittings, they have little rubber like bushings, I don't know, grommets that go in there. I'm probably gonna have to get a new set of them to fix that. And it's the same as like this one here and that one. And I noticed that they were in pretty bad shape whenever I put it all back together. And I think this one might be leaking as well. So anyway, I went ahead and parked it just for now. I'm gonna let everything cool down, and the one that's leaking the worst is that one up in there. Hard to see, kind of shiny. There, yeah, that. So you can see there's those little bits of hose with the hose clamps on it. And then that T up there, the brass connections on top there, that's where those little fittings go inside there. So if I can't get that leak to stop, I'm gonna have to stop running it now, because it's, I mean, sitting turned off, you can see how much it's dripped. It's not even running. And it was, yeah, it's getting pretty bad. So anyway, hopefully I can just put a wrench on those here in a little bit and get them tightened back down. And if not, then I'm just gonna have to go do something else for the rest of the day while I get those bushings ordered, and I can go ahead and get my alternator ordered while I'm at it. And I'm gonna get a new key switch for over there. So all right, if I can get back on this, I'll show you. If not, I'll show you something else. So I just started it. That's not good. So it is that return line. I'll show you guys here in a little bit. For now, I'm gonna get the four-wheeler put in the bucket. I'm gonna get everything taken back to the hay barn. Alright, so here's what's going on. See how that's got just a hose with them hose clamps on there? Look at that one. See the difference? No hose clamps. So that's hot. That is not, it's not correct. So that means it probably, well, I don't know, I'll have to take it apart to see what's going on. But they might have broke the top of the injector off or something. or stripped out the nut that was on there, and they just replaced it with this piece of hose. That hose is what's leaking. Based on the way that it's moving, I think it's probably cracked in half. Really hot in there. It's not really a good application for a hose. So, I'm not going to mess with it anymore today, because I'm not going to have, I don't think I have parts that'll fix that anyhow. And I've got other stuff that I can do while the weather's really nice. I got it parked in here in the hay barn, so even if it's raining, which it's supposed to be for the next, somebody's in heat. For the next week or so, it's supposed to just rain. We're supposed to get 4 inches over the next 7 days. So I'll leave it parked in here, and then even if it's raining, I can get out here, pull the hood back off, and we'll get all that taken care of. So it's a bummer, but shut down on clearing for the moment. But got a lot done this week anyway. So when I was going through the backhoe the other day, particularly on the backhoe, this is a problem, but a lot of the grease certs are in their inset, right? So that you don't break them off on stuff. The tractors aren't really that way, kind of, but not to the extent of the backhoe. Anyway, I had one that the grease gun, this thing got stuck on there, and I could not get it loose. I actually busted my knuckle up just trying to get the dang thing off. So I've heard of these, never actually used them, but there's these lock and lube little doohickeys. Kind of a cool little deal. So this kind of opens up, and this is loose, so you can stick it on the grease cert, you let it go, and it seals. So maybe I can kind of show you. So this is what I'm talking about, where they're inset so that it's flush. Well, on the backhoe, some of them are like an inch up inside there. They get stuck. Usually you can just kind of wiggle this and get it off, but on those ones you just can't. So the easy idea is you can open that up, stick it on there. Now it's locked on there, it won't come off, so you can pump your grease, and even if that gets stuck or if it's kind of tight, you can just unlock the thing, and so that way you're not sitting there fighting it trying to pull it off of there. So seems pretty cool. I'm gonna try it out, and hopefully it works as well as you're supposed to. So like I say, I've heard of these, been recommended to me before. They're kind of high. It was like 30 bucks, so that's why I never actually bought one, but if that keeps me from busting my knuckles open greasing the backhoe, then it'll be well worth it. Thought I'd end with a quick garden update this week, guys. So doing kind of an experiment, and I just watered them, so they're kind of well, my water pressure is really high, so the leaves they're kind of beat down, but that's just because I just sprayed them with water. What I did on these though, the ones that we had made our own pot soil, is potting soil. I went back and got some regular topsoil, just some store-bought stuff, and top dressed all these containers. So just filled them up a little bit more. If you remember, the problem that I'm having here is that the soil was a little bit too hot. Too much manure that we put in there, so too much nutrients basically. Alright, so this guy right here, these two, look at these tomato plants. Let me just turn this camera around so I can show you guys. Alright, so check these guys out. Got in your light, aren't I? Check them out. Like, man, they're just looking great. I mean, big healthy stalks on them, and green is what you want to see. This color of green on these. See how they're yellow, and they're looking better. That one's even got some blooms on it, but they had some like deep purple veins. I don't see any of that anywhere. So that's like my neighbors tell me, that's either too much nutrients or not enough nutrients is what causes that. We think too much nutrients, which makes sense because as it's rained and processed some of that out, the plants have started to get a little bit more established. They're starting to all come back. But I mean, side by side, our homemade potting soil versus store-bought potting soil, it's a pretty significant difference. So this one here, this is just topsoil that I had made up, and these are much younger plants. That's why they're so much smaller. These are sun golds, so I think it's a smaller, almost like a cherry tomato, but maybe a little bit bigger than cherry tomato. Apparently they're really good, so I've got 3 of them in here, and they're looking all right. Looking good. Like I said, these ones, she started these from seed as well as those. I didn't buy any of these. I didn't buy any of these plants, which is pretty neat. But so she starts her own from seed, because it costs like 3 cents to make this plant. Well, they don't always take, so she always starts twice as many as she needs, and then whatever she has left over, she just gives away to whoever, needs tomato plants. This year happened to be me. So anyway, but she started these after she had started those, probably by 3, maybe 4 weeks. I don't remember exactly when she started those, but they're doing good. Now these ones came up the same time as these. When we put these in the containers, all of these were the same, exact same size, exact same plants. So I say that there's a couple varieties in here, but they're all the same age, started at the same time. So anyway, though, you can see the difference between potting soil, proper potting soil, and not. So again, this is just our clay kind of topsoil. It's got some hay in there, that vermiculite and some composted manure, and then now it's got just some plain topsoil on top. The idea with that is to just have some soil that basically has nothing added to it to help feed these plants. And so, I filled it up in this one more than the rest of them, but about 4 or 5 inches in this one. The rest of them about 2 or 3 inches. And on a few of them, I plucked off the some of the bottom branches. Like I probably should have done this one. Get out of the mud, buddy. Which will cause them, if like if I was to pluck this one off and bury it up to here, like it will just start growing roots along this stalk. So now it's going to have roots up here, and this stuff that has basically minimal to no added nutrients to it. It's just soil. And then underneath, down lower here where it's getting too much nutrients, we're hoping that will help kind of balance everything out. That's the plan anyway. Talked to my neighbor about it. She agreed that it was worth a shot. And topsoil without any, additives to it, without any improvements, is super cheap. So no big deal there. So anyway, that's tomatoes. Now then, my peppers. Remember, they were getting sunburnt because they had come straight out of a greenhouse. This is a different friend of mine, a friend of my dad's actually, who runs a small greenhouse of sorts. I don't quite know exactly what the extent of her operation is, but that's where all of these peppers came from. And then my neighbor gave me one more jalapeno. I think that's just a normal jalapeno, if I recall. I think that's what that is. And again, it's not near as old as all these plants either. It's only been in there for a week or so, maybe 2 weeks at this point. So let's see here. We got the reapers in here. They're looking pretty good. This one, for whatever reason, looks better than that one. I don't know which one's which here. They might be the same. Carolina. Yeah, they're both Carolina reapers. And out of all of them, this red ghost pepper, it's doing the least good. But it's coming back, so I'll probably prune that leaf off here in just a second. And then our death spiral right here, it's looking pretty good. It's looking real good, actually. So I just added this mulch, and that will help retain moisture. Now another thing, this is planted in just regular potting soil. So, I've only got 2 each of the reapers, but just 1 each of these other ones. So we went ahead and just put these in regular, just plain professional store-bought potting soil. That way we didn't risk, damaging some cool peppers that we didn't have extras of. We did our experiment with the tomatoes that I had plenty of extras of. And this guy here, this is my mammoth jalapeno. Now the leaves on top, they look kind of wilty or kind of not so good, but that's actually because I've still had this row cover across the top here, like this. As you can see, I don't know if you can see, but that mammoth jalapeno is outgrowing the row cover. So I'm gonna take that off and leave it off, I think, at this point. And these guys, they've been established long enough. They shouldn't get sunburnt again. Shouldn't have any negative side effects from removing the row cover. But that's why this one has been pressed up against there, trying to grow, and it just couldn't get out. So anyway, now it can, and we'll let it do its thing. So very cool, very excited. So this is all going well. Last year when I tried to grow a garden, I just put everything straight in here in the soil. And this year, so far, it would have actually worked better. Of course, I would have had to till all this up, and I haven't, because I don't have a tiller. I borrowed one last year, and I could borrow one again this year if I wanted to, and I may still yet. The problem I ran into, though, is that, and you can't tell, but there's kind of a natural low spot right here where I decided to plant everything. in my yard. So everything just stayed completely saturated, just waterlogged. It was in standing water, and everything just died. But I had a bunch of tomatoes, and I tried a whole bunch of stuff. What's this? I still need to go pick all this up. I was going to try and grow eggplants, just because I've never done it before. Last year, that did not work. So this year, that's why, once again, stepped back, much smaller approach here. I'm going to get tomatoes figured out, and if I can grow tomatoes successfully and some peppers, then next year maybe I'll look into breaking out a better garden and maybe bringing in some fill material from somewhere to build it up, or do raised beds. I don't know, but I don't have a whole lot of time, extra time, just to mess with working on my garden. I've got plenty of other stuff to do, so whatever I do just needs to be low maintenance and easy to. It needs to survive if I neglect it. Is basically what I'm saying, because I'm going to. So fortunately, this time of year we get plenty of rain, so I don't even really have to think about watering for the most part. And I just did water all these just because I put the new soil on it, and I was working on it anyway. But right now, like I've only watered them 2 or 3 times, I think, since I put all this in. But it's been raining pretty consistently, so no big deal there. So anyway, that's the idea with my little container garden. Seems kind of silly. Like usually container gardens, I think, are the people doing them are in like cities and urban areas where they just don't have yards, right? And that's kind of not the case for me, right? I've got plenty of yard. I got all of this, but yeah, I killed my whole garden last year trying to make a proper one. So this year, scaling it back. That's why I have such a tiny garden. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Oh, there's the 4-wheeler. See you next time.